On the night that defied almost every expectation, when Donald Trump walked out onto that stage in New York as president-elect, Republicans cheered. The candidate who'd promised to build that wall, ban Muslims from entering America, and deport illegal immigrants had won. Among those thrilled by Trump's victory, Richard Spencer.
I didn't believe it. I was asking, did this actually happen? Even when it was declared by major networks. So it was a miracle. Trump reached people on the basis of identity, and no one had really tried that. And that is something new, and that's something great.
But with Donald Trump, something seemed to change.
You may not recognize Richard Spencer, but you might have heard about what he did 10 days after Trump was elected.
America was, until this past generation, a white country.
He gave a talk, not far from the White House, on the suddenly emboldened politics of racial identity in America, ultimately saluting the crowd this way.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
And the crowd saluted right back.
But yes, I raised a whiskey glass and I said, "Hail Trump, hail our people, hail victory." And yes, I was being provocative, of course. Whenever you're a part of an identity movement, you're always called these names. Oh, you're KKK, you're a Nazi, you're a Southern Confederate, you're what have you. And I think at some level, people just want to throw that back in the face of their enemies. And it's a big F you, to put it mildly. And that's what it was about.
Spencer leads a movement known as the alt-right, a euphemism, say many, for white nationalists. Some call it a mix of racism and populism. Born in Texas, Spencer began promoting the alt-right when, for a short while, he lived with a girlfriend in Canada.
I lived in Toronto. Your viewers might be shocked to learn that the alternativeright.com website was born in an apartment near Yonge Street in Toronto, Canada. Fun fact.
But it's in America right now that the alt-right sees opportunity. From Trump's campaign rallying cries on Muslims, Mexicans, and more, to his senior advisor, Steve Bannon, who once ran a website labeled xenophobic, racist, and anti-Semitic. From some of those who turned out at Trump rallies, to Trump's pick for Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, with a track record on civil rights so divisive, his opponents turned out in hoods last week to protest. Critics underline the alt-right likes what it sees.
The alt-right is about identity, and Donald Trump's movement, whether Kellyanne Conway wants to admit it or not, was fundamentally about identity, and it was about identity for white people.
White power! After Trump's win, race-based slogans and hateful graffiti seemed to pop up all over. It's as if Trump's win had emboldened countless, but it repulsed and frightened countless more.
Racist, sexist, anti-gay, Richard Spencer, go away!
Mid-December, outside an auditorium at Texas A&M University. The target of all the anger? The night's featured speaker, Richard Spencer. And you can bet, people here absolutely link Spencer and his views with their new president-elect.
The fact that Donald Trump can get elected shows that we have these dark currents of racism and hatred in our country, which should not be a surprise to anybody, but we have to stand up and fight against it.
This is my home!
As day turns to night, the demonstration grows.
It's his right to say what he wants, but it's also our right to reject that type of message.
And anger against Spencer and the alt-right mounts.
Say it loud, say it clear, Nazis, you're not welcome here.
What is your message here tonight?
Here it is.
Please no heckling, please no violence or anything. We have police here to take you out in case that does occur.
Inside, Spencer knows that for him, this isn't a friendly crowd, and he's got his comebacks ready.
That must mean you love me when you do that. Back to all y'all. Yeah.
For him, none of that matters. Trump's win has given him a spotlight, and he uses it.
we conquered this continent. Whether it's nice to say that or not, we won. And we got to define what America means. We got to define what this continent means. America, at the end of the day, belongs to white men.
Fists raised in opposition underline, most in this room find that odious. It leads to flared tempers and, for example, this back and forth when Spencer's challenged by a man wearing a shirt that reads, "Beat the hell out of hate."
T-shirt, beat the hell out of hate. Yeah, you're not even willing to do that. That T-shirt is total bullshit. You're not even willing to go to the gym. Look how fat you are. You can't beat the hell out of anything, sir. People say I am based on hate.
I hope this is getting on tape.
I have utter contempt.
This is free speech, everybody.
I have utter contempt for losers like you, sir.
So you grew up here.
I grew up here, in this neighborhood.
You're 14 years old.
I was 14.
And you're coming down this alley.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in this alley.
Christian Picciolini knows all about hate. After an encounter in this alley 30 years ago, Picciolini's life spiraled into racism and violence. He helped build the American neo-Nazi skinhead movement. That's him with a Nazi salute at Dachau. And here he is in his band, singing songs of white power. They named themselves the Final Solution.
See this? That means not welcome.
Aspects of Picciolini's youth were chronicled in the film American History X. Eventually, Picciolini chose another path, and he rejected all of that. He left the movement and formed the advocacy group Life After Hate. Nowadays, he counsels young people who are conflicted about race, hate, and tolerance. And so when you see America now, and you see what's happening with the alt-right, what goes through your mind?
Well, it's the same tactic. It's all about instilling fear for the unknown. It's all about blaming somebody else for the problems that we're experiencing. And let's face it, we do have problems. They have a right to be angry, but they're blaming the wrong people.
Picciolini sees danger in the rise of Richard Spencer and in the alt-right's efforts to mainstream white nationalism. Gone are the obvious tattoos and skinhead approach.
You think because she's black, because I'm black, we're monkeys? Is that?
That's a proven fact.
That's a proven fact.
Replaced, says Picciolini, with a friendlier face but familiar objectives.
He's trying to make this cool, this racism cool. And, you know, if you were to ask me what his beliefs are, and he may say he's alt-right and not a neo-Nazi, but I can tell you that based on his ideology, he is absolutely a neo-Nazi, because what Richard Spencer is doing today is what we did 28 years ago as very open neo-Nazis. The rhetoric is the same, the ideology is the same, the words are a little bit more massaged and more palatable.
And what does Donald Trump think of all this? As ever, it's hard to know. After his election on the show 60 Minutes, he was pushed to disavow those of his supporters who promote hate in his name.
I would say don't do it. That's terrible, because I'm going to bring this country together.
They're harassing Latinos, Muslims.
I am so saddened to hear that, and I say stop it if it helps. I will say this, and I'll say it right to the camera, stop it.
When a president makes light of the fact or just turns to the camera and says, don't do that, instead of replying with a very thought out, positive response to really try and quell something that's happening in our country that could be disastrous, we have an issue.
And so in Donald Trump's America, the debate rages between those against the alt-right and those who support it, along with the president-elect.
I guess a lot of America is mad, and we feel what Donald Trump is saying. You know, we're kind of angry, ready to see somebody with just as much fire as we are, someone who's just as pissed off as us. And I think We see that in Donald Trump.
The goals that I can achieve, and we are achieving them, and I'm going to achieve them in my lifetime, is raising identity consciousness among white people in the United States and really around the world. Is Trump the answer? No. Is Trump the first step, hopefully, towards identity politics? Yes. And that's what got me so excited about it.
Emboldened by new leadership in a country where that excitement mixes with fury and a divide that's as old as America. Paul Hunter, CBC News, College Station, Texas.